Good morning everybody and happy Friday. It's Friday the 15th of January and today we are learning to convey character through speech and action. I've got written for you here 2 sentences. There are lots of errors to find in them. Please pause the video here while you take a look at the sentences. You may wish to write them into your book. There may be spelling mistakes, there may be missing punctuation, missing words even. So as I said, please pause the video here while you copy down the sentences and make your corrections. Resume the video once you are ready to go through the answers. Okay, excellent. So well done. Hopefully you found all of the mistakes. I hope I don't forget any as well. So we have our first sentence. The island, which I later found out was named Eels Island, comma, creepy. Ooh, there is a lot wrong here. So first of all, I have which is a relative pronoun when we looked at this yesterday. So you should have had a comma here before the relative pronoun. The island, which I later found out was named Eels Island. So I know here I've got my second comma already in, that's great. But I've got a problem with Eels Island because Eels Island is the name of the island. It's a proper noun, so I need a capital E and a capital I. Well done if you remembered to correct those. The island, which I later found out was named Eels Island. Creepy. Now, if I was to remove the relative clause and I just had the island creepy, can you figure out what type of word I'm missing? Yes, I'm missing a verb, so it's actually not a complete sentence. So I need to put in a verb here. You may have chosen a different verb. I'm going to keep it very simple and go for was. The island, which I later found out was named Eels Island, was creepy. You might put an adverb in as well if you wish. Now, the second sentence. I was stopped in my tracks until I saw a group of menacing teenagers. Oh dear, I have a spelling mistake. Stopped. I didn't double the consonant P with my suffix ed on the end. So I need to rewrite this now and make the correction because otherwise it looks like I stoped, doesn't it? And that doesn't make any sense. I was stopped in my tracks until, I'm not so sure about my conjunction here. It doesn't really make any sense because I stopped because I saw the menacing teenagers. I could have been walking in my tracks. Well, I suppose walking in my tracks wouldn't make sense either, but I was walking until I saw a group of menacing teenagers. Until signals that an event was continuing and then ended. I've already said the action ended here, so I can't use until. I think if I had when, that would be the perfect conjunction. You might have used because, as, I suppose maybe would work. I was stopped in my tracks as I saw a group of menacing teenagers. Yeah, I think as could be okay, but not as strong as when. So please pause the video here to give your work a mark and just to check if you've got all of these mistakes. Well done if you did. Okay, wonderful that you're all tuning in today. We have been so impressed with the excellent standard and the really high quality of your writing this week. It has been absolutely fantastic to see, and it's been great to hear that so many of you are enjoying it as well, enjoying that process of being a writer, making these scenes and action come alive. So very, very proud, well done. It's our final paragraph of this version of the story today. We will be rewriting a different version next week, but let's continue on with what we're doing today. So in this paragraph, we are going to have that Zoe may respond to these threats. You may have had a relative clause in the previous paragraph where they felt she was a spy or a trespasser, or she was basically up to no good on Eels Island. So we might have some show not tell with that I felt trapped step at the beginning. Then we want to have Zoe reason with the foe. So we're going to be using speech in this paragraph here. We did use speech yesterday as well, but we're really thinking about how we can express character and personality through speech and through action. So we might have Zoe, how Zoe responds here to show how she's feeling, what she's saying, and then we want the foes to make a decision. Again, thinking about their personalities and what they are like and how they might say their piece and get Zoe to go with them. And then here Zoe makes a decision at the end, which I think most of us will have the same idea there. Okay, so I felt trapped. So I won't be expecting much speech here. You can use speech here if you really want to. That would be another way of moving away from the model. But in my sentence, I'm not going to have any speech. But I am going to have some cohesion in her reacting to that feeling that they thought she was a spy. So my show not tell here, I want her to be quite upset. Have a think now how I could show that she's starting to feel upset. Okay, good. You might refer to feeling that lump in the throat. Maybe her eyes are stinging with tears. Maybe she is actually starting to cry and the tears are starting to run down her cheeks. You might have that, again, if she speaks in a croaky way. So I'm going to talk about my cheeks. Were streaked, sorry about that. Were streaked with tears. You might want to refer to the weather being bad again here. You could have rain and tears. And she's feeling trapped, but she's going to try and fight for her life. She's going to make sure that she says her piece before they make a final decision, because maybe she's worried about what they might decide to do with her. So I knew I had to say something before it was too late. So again, hinting that something dangerous may happen unless she speaks. Now, I've actually forgotten to mention again, we've got another vocabulary sheet today to support you with this. So you might want to take a moment now to read through examples of vocabulary you may want to use for each section. You might read it after the whole model, or you might want to read it before we continue on. But the feeling of being trapped, as I said, tears started to sting. Maybe she bit her lip to stop herself from crying. Maybe she took in a deep breath to calm her nerves. It felt like I could barely breathe, because she's feeling so overwhelmed with those emotions. So we've got these ideas here as well, but this is not an exhaustive list, and you've got your own fantastic ideas that you may want to use. So I tried to reason with the foes. So Zoe is going to speak at this point now. It's up to you if you want Zoe to speak first and then you want your verb. If you want the verb at the beginning, remember you need that comma. I'm going to ease myself into this and have, where should I put this? Actually, I can move this slightly. Sorry. Yeah, so I can start here. So I've got my inverted commas. I'm going to just have her speaking first. So they're worried she's a spy, so she's going to try and convince them that she's not. So I'm going to convey Zoe's character through what she's saying. She's vulnerable, she's outnumbered, so she's not going to be very confrontational, in my opinion. And this is Zoe quite early on in our book as well. She's fairly naive, she's in a new place, she's never encountered people like this before. So again, for me, she's going to be not timid, but wanting to show that she's not a threat because she is maybe worried of how they may treat her and what might happen. So I want to express that through her speech. So maybe I want her to repeat that she's just lost, she's just trying to find her way, that she's no threat to them. Maybe I really don't mean to cause you any trouble, you've got to believe me, or please let me go, honestly I won't say a word of this island to anyone, please just let me leave. Maybe she does try and sound a little bit bolder than she feels. Do I really look like a spy to you? I promise I'm telling you the truth, I stated firmly, trying to sound braver than I felt. Maybe the verb, she's about to sob, maybe she could barely whisper, maybe she croaks. So pause here, have a think about how you're going to show through the speech Zoe's predicament, that she's intimidated, she's outnumbered, and she's upset. Okay, great job. I'm going to have that she repeats that I'm lost. And just explaining a little bit more about what's happened, because so far she's just said, I'm Zoe and I'm from Norwich. I'm lost. I was rowing for ages. Maybe you want to say why she's rowing if you haven't already. She's trying to find her parents, she's trying to find safety. Rowing for ages. And then I saw this island. And again, repeating, I'm no threat to you. I mean you no harm. And then maybe having a little bit of stammering here. I promise. Comma, need that comma, inverted commas. Please take care with the speech today because this is part of your WALT. Comma, inverted comma, any interesting verbs that you could use here. I sobbed, I croaked, I whispered, I stated, I said even. Said is fine as long as you just don't repeat it too often. I'm going to go with I croaked. But again, try not to use my verbs. And obviously, of course, I've seen some brilliant examples of speech this week. So I've got no doubt that you'll be having some wonderful ideas there. So I tried to reason with the foes. That is the blue section done. It's just one simple sentence, really. You might have some action in here. Why not? Let's have, actually, I croaked whilst. So I'm going to get rid of this. Let's put in a subordinating conjunction whilst I wonder what action I could use here to show that she is feeling really sorry, she's apologetic. I croaked whilst I clenched my hands together. Pleadingly. Okay, great. So now I'm going to move on to my green section. The foes make a decision. So here we might have that they're finding it amusing. I think in some ways that's almost more intimidating if they're finding it funny than if they're to act in a violent way. So maybe they start to laugh, they might start to joke about her situation. Maybe they're starting to look quite threatening, that maybe one of them might start to crack his knuckles, and that would be some action to show the character what they're like. Maybe they're just not really that bothered, and maybe they just kind of shrug, or maybe they look uncomfortable when she starts to get upset. Again, it's up to you. Think about how you want those teenagers, those enemies, the foes, to be acting at this point. Okay, so I'm going to have that they glanced at each other. So the three boys glanced at each other. And I'm going to put a bit of action in here. They're smirking. Ooh, very condescending towards her there, not at all welcoming. The three boys glanced at each other, smirking. And then we're going to have a bit of speech now. So I might think about, all right. All right then, full stop. Just remember, if you're using your, as in you are, it is you apostrophe re. You're coming with us. You might have them referring, just quit your crying, or sort yourself out, pull yourself together. You're coming with us. But I'm going to have a threat at the end, but don't try, I'm running that through. But don't try any funny business. So a bit of a lingering threat here. And remember, we still don't know their names, or maybe you introduced the names yesterday, but just make sure that that does continue on appropriately. The third boy ordered. Okay. And then the final section is that Zoe makes a decision. She doesn't really have much of a choice here, which is what you can say. She has to go with them. She's outnumbered. She has no allies on the island. She has nothing to defend herself with. She has to go. She makes a decision. Obviously, you can see how in next week's writing, this might be a different outcome of what she decides that she's going to do. So again, with the action, what might she do? They're telling her that she has to go with them. What action could she do here? Okay, good. Maybe she nods. Maybe you might have her speaking again. I nodded, comma, yes, okay, fine. Maybe she just puts her head down and follows them. It's up to you how you signal that she's made that decision. So I'm just going to have, I nodded quietly, and I'm going to leave it on a little bit of suspense here. So full stop, I nodded quietly, I didn't. Oh, sorry, I keep dotting my I's in the wrong way, sorry. I didn't have any other choice. And then a bit of ellipsis there. Ellipsis can be really great to use, just don't overdo it. You don't want it to be used too frequently throughout your piece of writing, because then it just becomes too repetitive and doesn't have the same impact. So I'm just going to zoom out now. Oh, there we go. So you can see my pens, and here I've got my paragraph. Quite simple, just a series of one sentence really per section. Unfortunately, I don't have a ruler, so I might have to freehand it with my pen, so sorry if I do go a bit wobbly. So my Walt is that I'm using speech and action to convey personality and character. So my cheeks were streaked with tears. So again, our character at this point is feeling really upset. I had to say something before it was too late. I've got this bit here. I show that she's feeling quite nervous through how she's saying it. And again, I'm quite happy with my punctuation, so I'm going to pink this. I croaked. Whilst I clenched my hands together pleadingly, I could have a look at that bit there. And the three boys glance at each other smirking, so I'm adding this bit in. Don't try any funny business, because they're showing their personality through a threat. And again, this is correctly punctuated too. I nodded quietly would also be meeting that Walt there. Okay, best of luck everybody. Remember that you do have this vocabulary sheet. Sorry I didn't bring it back to refer to, but this is available. Oh, sorry, just refocus them. On your home learning page as well. You may want to read it before the paragraph again, or replay the video and read the vocabulary for each coloured section. That is entirely up to you. But as I said at the start of the video, really impressed with the quality of the writing so far. Keep it up. I'm really excited to see what you produce today. And that is it from me for this week as well. Once you've uploaded all of your learning today onto Seesaw, have an amazing weekend, and I can't wait to catch up with you all again next week. Take care everyone, bye bye.